Welcome to Who Knew. We are fans of the current series of Doctor Who, and here we discuss our likes, dislikes, and insights into the modern regeneration of the show. Subscribe, review, and listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WhoKnewPodcast. All our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com. You can leave comments there or email us at whoknewpodcast@gmail.com. We also have an Instagram and Twitter account. Tweet at us at whoknewpodcast. Find us on Facebook.
My name is Katrin Stewart and I am part of the Paternoster Gang. Playing Miss Jenny Flint in Doctor Who. I hear you are a big fan of Doctor Who, and you even have your own podcast called Who Knew? Who Knew? It's a good name.
Today's episode is Series 10, Episode 5, Oxygen. The Doctor decides to take Bill on what he promises will be a proper space adventure. Sounds exciting. It is, just not in the fun way. This episode is written by Jamie Matheson, directed by Charles Palmer. It originally aired on the 13th of May, 2017, and was originally watched by 3.57 million viewers. Hi, this is Eugene. Let's introduce ourselves.
Hello, this is Auburn. Howdy.
Hello, everyone. This is Kelsey.
Hi, this is Frank.
The Doctor and Bill go to answer a distress signal from a mining space station floating near a blue giant star. The station is run entirely by a corporation that charges workers for literally everything, including the oxygen they breathe. The crew explains the grim reality. They're not paid in money, but in credits, and oxygen is deducted from their accounts by the breath. If they can't afford it, their air supply is cut off. And now, the mining suits have started to intentionally kill their occupants. It's not a glitch. The company's automated systems have decided the crew is inefficient. Since dead workers use less oxygen, the suits are eliminating them to reduce costs.
Well, that just sucks. That's a lot in the further beginning opening. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that goes on here. I love the cold open with the two astronauts trying to power, I guess they're trying to power the station back up, and they can't hear each other because comms are down. So the one woman is confessing her love to the one other guy, and then gets taken out by the space zombies. And I love the smash cut of her screaming and then goes to him who can't hear her. It's just very effectively done.
In space, no one can hear you scream kind of thing. They had that also the reference for Star Trek.
Yeah.
With Space, the Final Frontier. It's final because it wants to kill you. So, I mean, the opening was great, and it really got you into it, I thought.
I really like the wire work. We had those tumbling astronauts. I'll call them astronauts, space people, to begin with, which is great. But then, like you said, Eugene, when they're on the space station itself working, we get a little bit of zero gravity, where they're like going up a ladder and their legs are floating. And there's a few more spots, I think, where they use like wires or something later. But it's always fun, those little camera tricks where you're like, okay, cut to the feet, landing.
The Magna Lock.
Yeah, that's like the playfulness of space TV or movies.
And I do like the helmets, the design, because normally we always put in lights, and you're like, oh, it's designed to put in lights so that you can see the actors' faces. But this one, there's a lot more room. There's just something, like, it's kind of organic looking. I enjoyed it.
And having the readouts and everything
helmets
over to the right a bit, so she could still move her head and look. It's not as tightly compact. So I agree with you. I think that worked really well.
Yeah, I think besides even that front transparent dome, like the sides are a little bit see-through, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're...
It looks like a sort of organic web construction.
One of those films you might put on your window to be a privacy, kind of like... But yeah, I love the whole suit design is really fun. I know at this point, I think they open up one of the ports and we see two little connectors there. I call them speak-on audio connectors. They're used to hook up large gauge.
Yeah, they look like XLR cable, XLR. Yeah.
But I love how they also put them like under an outdoor electric cover.
Yeah.
It was cleverly designed and looked really good in person. Like, so you could get those close-ups and it felt real because it was real.
Yeah, real world stuff being utilized differently. I do enjoy that. And then we get kind of a switch with Nardole's character. He's becoming more of the responsible one, the parent, if you will. Kind of telling the doctor, you self-impose yourself to be stuck on Earth. What are you doing going into space? Normally, I wouldn't like this switch, but it works in this episode for me.
Well, I think the Doctor is getting that dangerous feel. He's going for the adventure. He's going for the thrill. He's going for something. He's at that point where he's, getting stir crazy. But it's dangerous. He's going to do even a more dangerous aspect than he knew or did any research about. A lot of times he just pops in, but this one was like, oh, no, you went a little bit too far for this first trip to deep space. I did like his professor aspect at the beginning when he's talking about space and all that, and draws all the stars on the chalkboard, which become a skull. How dangerous it is.
Foreshadowing.
Yes. But then also, what does this have to do with crop rotation? It was just an interesting aspect of him being a professor. So I thought this whole thing would be a lot lighter than it was because of that second opening when they're joking about it a lot.
Yeah, it's a mislead, a bait and switch maybe. When the doctor is on the station, he says this quote twice, or these lines twice. The first time it's you only see the true face of the universe when it's asking you for help. When there's asking Bill is asking him about like the distress call, like when he says we want to go space camping, where do you want to go? And she picks like what's a good one that's been reviewed, and he goes for the one with the red and the X through it. And then later on, he says that again when Bill and Nardole want to leave, and he goes, well, first he quotes the Bible. It says, "Death, where is thy sting?" That's from First Corinthians, and then he says that line again. You only see the true face of the universe when it's asking you for help. So let's show them ours. I think he says something like that.
We show ours by how we
How we
respond.
respond. Yes, thank you. So I like that. These are good lines to show. My gut instinct is like, this is dangerous. There's a dead zombie here. Let's leave. But then the doctor's like, there was a distress call. People need help. We need to see what's going on. So I do like the doctor is a thrill seeker, but it gives him a good motivation in these couple of this repeated line.
But I like what I think, Frank, you said about he's getting dangerous because there's no regard right now for Bill's safety. Or maybe it's just his arrogance of like, oh, well, she'll be with me. I'll keep her safe. But like, Bill and Nardole want to leave. And
Right.
I was a little turned off that the doctor was like, used that line to manipulate them into, staying. Like, I was just kind of like, oh, come on, doctor. Like, you're putting them in a dangerous position. And I didn't like seeing that side of the doctor, but I think it's motivated by this like he's got cabin fever on Earth. Like he's being kept on Earth for some reason and he's kind of going stir crazy. So he's not really taking the same precautions, I think, as he has in the past when he's traveling with a companion that he feels responsible for their safety.
Mhm.
I think coming off of Clara and how she became so self-sufficient and taking on some of the doctor's role type of thing. It's very different going to Bill, who is really good. I mean, I really like their dynamic, the casting and how they do these two people. But this story seems like they're writing the story rather than through the characters. Because some of the things that happen doesn't seem like what the character would usually do. Like when he's saying there are 36, dead out of 40. And it seemed like Bill would have said, so there are 4 alive. She would already get it rather than having to explain it so thoroughly of why they're still there and why they're going to try and save those 4. It just something about it just seemed a good story, but the characterization of them just seemed off a little bit. I did like Nardole a lot in this, being the responsible one, because I think it's been leading up to this. And he's always starting to berate the doctor. And now he's like, wait a minute. No, you really have to pay attention. You're the one who put me in this position, and you're the one who told me what to do, and I'm doing it. And now you're not listening. So some of the banter was really great. It just seemed a little bit odd that he would put Bill in that position. I mean, it seems like as we're going through this season, I'm realizing that it seems like Bill's in a lot more danger than anyone else has been in a long time.
Yeah,
You
no,
would think that grows more. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because it does. And I got started thinking, I'm like, is this going somewhere? Because this is Capaldi's last season, so I know that, the 13th Doctor is going to show up soon. So I'm like, I don't know, I'm just trying to like
Right.
connect some threads and be like, oh, are we leading up to a big lesson that the 13th Doctor is going to change the way the 13th Doctor responds to things?
Well, I think going along with all of that is that montage of the Doctor's longing for space.
Mm.
Um, it's like broken up, Nardole is talking to him and they like go to a few vignettes, but I think it did a really good job at presenting kind of that. At first, I wanted to say like romantic longing, but it's more of like an addiction longing. Now that like I look at it again, and like you said, he is discarding the safety of Bill because he has this desire that's more powerful than that to get back to space.
And Bill
And
doesn't
that
know
that
enough to
montage was
be,
good.
yeah,
Right.
Bill doesn't seem to know enough to be worried because
Mhm.
she's just seeing them banter in the TARDIS and the Doctor going, nope, we're going. Here we go. So she's still so new to this that it's very exciting. I did like that she said, well, what are the reviews? What did other people say? What do we know?
And when Bill gets on the space station, she tests the artificial gravity. I like that. She's like, oh, she jumps and twice, and she goes,
Right.
feel artificial. Or, oh no, she says,
So she goes,
doesn't feel like space.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like space.
And then I like that that's a funny moment. And then she walks further into that corridor and then she sees the porthole and sees space from the
yeah.
space station view. And she's like, now it feels like space. So I like that how quickly that was sort of set up and then paid off in like two different sort of ways.
And the suits, again, going back to that, having that force field to keep the oxygen in, not just the helmet, I thought was an interesting take and change that I didn't ever think about doing. Well, I thought that was an interesting little bit.
Yeah, when they introduced that, at first I was like, wait a minute, you had the helmet come off in space, but then later they gave us our one-liner to explain that away. So thank you, writers, for listening
Right.
to the podcast.
But it's still on, and that's what sets you up going, he's suffocated, but it's still on, holding the oxygen in, and he still had oxygen, but somehow they shut it off. So we didn't know what was going on at that point with the corporation.
Mhm.
Hmm. I mean, that speaks to like the overall writing, which I think is pretty good for this episode.
Yeah.
Like I said, those caveats where I'm like, oh, I gotcha, and then they like throw that line later. But also the dialogue. I think there's some really great. We already mentioned a few of the back and forths, but no, there's good one-liners and there's good a lot of really good dialogue. Yes, back and forth dialogue between different characters, some that we haven't even seen before. So yeah, great writing overall on this episode.
Yeah, I didn't want to critique that. I was trying to say they were writing a good story. There's just a couple of things that Bill would have picked up. Anybody would have picked up 36. 40 minus 36. There's still 4 people alive. And it's just for him to explain. It just seemed a little bit odd.
Well, speaking of the writing, there was a nice Easter egg here in the beginning. When Nardole is trying to keep the Doctor from traveling into space, he takes off the fluid link, the TARDIS. That was referenced all the way back in the Daleks, which is the second story of the first Doctor, where he does the same thing to Ian Chesterton, forcing them to navigate to the Dalek city. So it's just funny that
wow.
like if you didn't know that, it's fine. But if you do, it's like, oh, it's written that very deep cut Easter egg.
Really nice. I thought it was just the joke of, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm the one who told you that.
So that's what you're supposed to think. But then, and the fact that the Doctor has done that before with another companion,
I like that.
That's awesome.
That's really good.
And then another sort of a callback is the fear aspect, where the Doctor says that fear is good and it keeps one fast.
Right.
From I can't remember the listen. I think it's listen and Time of Angels. And
Yeah, he said it a few times, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's
So I
just
like
one of
it's
those
consistent that he
Yeah.
keeps mentioning it.
Yeah, that's your superpower from Danny Pink when he was young.
Mhm.
I was like, you're scared. That's your superpower. It gives you more time to run. It gives you more energy.
I think we're also to the point where when they first encounter the zombie, the first zombie inside where he tries to sonic it and it kind of breaks. I don't know exactly how that's working, but they break the sonic so that way they take that from him, which is a fun setup then for the rest of the episode, to keep giving him these like obstacles and
Well, not only the Sonic, but the TARDIS gets removed from his space, pun intended. So it's kind of nice to have a pared down doctor trying to keep his two companions safe without his tools of the trade, if you will.
And we see later how desperate he becomes trying to, fight for breaths. Yeah.
But one thing with the breath is fear and anxiety makes you breathe more. So you use more oxygen a lot quicker. So it's like, that's not the superpower I need right now.
But that's smart that he brings that up. He's like, don't waste your breath now.
Right.
And then even Nardole has like tech lines to explain what goes on with how the suit uses oxygen or how you use oxygen with the suit. So they really kind of thought about the logic of this like world that they've built on this space station.
Yeah. Speaking of Nardole, can someone remind me what's the deal with him? Because I thought he was like an android or something. So I was confused that he needed oxygen.
Okay, I don't remember where it's mentioned, but he does have lungs. I think they're human lungs. But in Husbands of River Song, he was decapitated. And then when we saw him in The Return of Dr. Mysterio, he was fully formed again as his normal body. And I don't remember which episode mentions that he has lungs.
I remember always just glossing over it, going, I don't get okay, fine. That's what you're doing. You just put a one line in there saying, yeah, Nardole's back. But yeah. I mean, there are other things. I don't think he ages the same, but I don't remember. But it is confusing. It was one of those, okay, I'll just accept it. You can go in and then go find the one line, but that's going to take some time.
The station's company computer system uses the suits like puppets with the dead still inside to attack the living. The doctor, Bill, Nardole, and the surviving crew fight their way through corridors filled with attacking, zombie-like corpses. Then, Bill's suit removes her helmet against her will. There is no way to stop her from being exposed to the vacuum of space, but the doctor gives her his own helmet and walks through the vacuum to safety. He succeeds. Bill is alive, but at a cost. The doctor is blind.
That was terrifying. I remember, like, the way Pearl Mackie as Bill just conveyed that was great. She's like, I don't know what's going on, and shouldn't the bubble protect me earlier? And then the doctor's like, no, you need this helmet too. And then that sets it up for her removing the helmet, or the suit removing her helmet. So how dangerous it is. And I thought it was an interesting choice how they did it with sort of it's not a montage because it's taken from her point of view, I believe, where she's losing consciousness, so it's cut up in the way somebody's POV or point of view would be.
Right.
So I did enjoy that. So when we meet up with her next, she's on the station breathing normal air and not knowing exactly what has transpired between that missing time.
Yeah, I think that worked. It was odd, but it worked.
Yeah. And they set up earlier that the suits keep you standing. So it's not weird that she's just standing there and has been unconscious.
Right.
Because
right.
we had that whole memorable scene earlier with her being freaked out that this dead body was standing.
When they first meet the survivors, I like the little comedy they had about, oh, you're a racist, and Bill's like, what? It's like, wait a minute. So I like that little play and the dynamic of it. It's like, well, no, she's not. I've never seen a blue person before. This is the first experience.
Yeah, and then I think what is that? Matt Lucas playing Nardole. He ad-libbed that line where I have some friends that are bluish.
It was fun. It was a funny little bit, I thought. Yeah. Yep. But I was surprised at how quick the suits interacted and would kill the host or the human or the live part. It just was surprising to just touch and the command went right through it. I guess it's, computer speed, so it is quick. It's just sort of, oh, you have no kind of time to react to it if it touches you. You're just, that's it. That was a scary part.
Yeah, I think the amount of death in this episode is disconcerting. I think especially today. I don't know why at the time it probably wasn't as much, but yeah, like especially that opening scene where the woman's like, maybe we can get pregnant, and then like 2 seconds later she's dead. Which is interesting, take. But I don't think it was meant to be as morbid. Like I think it was meant to be a little like we care about these people, but it happens that they die.
Well, we really didn't meet and go into them in depth. So they didn't want us to have that connection as much.
Right.
But depending on the episode, there are some that you just get really involved with knowing that's going to happen. And it is very traumatic. And then this one was, no, we're creating zombies. So of course they have to die. This is just part of that storyline. So it's not as impactful, but it still, I think, was done enough where you're getting, we're in trouble and these poor people. And
Well,
I wonder why the doctor took so long to put his helmet on her, because it seemed like she was in the cold, because then she passed out. But she kept breathing, and exhaling, so that was good. She didn't hold her breath. Good for her. But it just seemed to show that. And then, how far did they get? And then, when did he do that? Little details I want to know just to watching it, but it's not important.
And I think part of that is dramatic effect.
Yeah.
They really want us to feel like, oh no, she's gone.
Yeah. So it worked. It just I wanted to know more, just because it was. No, I want to know the details.
Yeah, the way they covered that, you don't see the doctor because he's over somewhere else, healing, recovering, resting. So you are kind of thinking, did the doctor sacrifice himself to save Bill because she didn't have a helmet and he was giving her hers? I just thought that the coverage was done well.
Right.
And then there's that moment where Bill wakes up, and I don't know if I was if somebody had passed out in space, I would in this situation, I wouldn't put them standing next to other zombies in
Yes.
their eyesight. But they explained it well, which I thought was very consistent with the logic of this episode, that the suits operate on places they've been before. So this is a place that they have not mapped out, so they can't go forward because it's unknown to them. And so this instant moment of like, oh no, she's dead and she's gonna die.
She can't move because the suit won't move.
Yeah, is then explained away by a kind of throwaway line, which, well, not throwaway because they reference it later, but it's well done.
And that's the problem. Nardole talks too much.
It's true.
Because it's
And again,
him.
that's cool. Like you watch it again, you can see that your Alexa, your Siri, your Google is listening every time they're talking. So
Right.
these black spots on their map or their grid is then filled in because of what they're listening to.
Yeah, the whole Nardole saying the section 12. And it's like, they looked for it and found it. And that's like, darn it. Don't blame him. Don't really blame him. But it's just one of those, yeah, that's why we don't like Alexis and all that kind of stuff. Even our phones are listening to us.
Yeah, even earlier when they first figure out the door unlock, the zombies do. This came 10 years more before Pluribus, but if you've seen Pluribus, that whole like group think and moving bodies on their own, like I don't know if you remember the part, but like the one of the suits is looking at the mess of wires and figures out how to fix it, and then all the suits back away to bring in the one that can fix it. So
It's smart.
yeah, no, and before ahead of its time, but like yeah, very good. And setting up those, they are learning and they are smart in a way that builds.
It reminds me of Jurassic Park. They can open doors now.
Right. But that was good. I liked it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we're talking about all this serious stuff with Bill almost dying, the doctor being blind, and then the doctor has funny lines that kind of offset it to us. He's like, she says, "You're blind." He's like, "I'm blind." Oh, that explains all the bruises on my shins. And it's nice because then after that you have a heartfelt moment where Bill hugs the doctor in relief, and I don't know, maybe comfort that he's still alive and she's both alive as well. So it sometimes they don't work. We complain how they cram too much in sometimes, but in this case, I think the countering emotional things that are being said help because of the kind of gravity of what's going on. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain why this works in this episode for me, and sometimes it doesn't in other episodes. So that's the best attempt I have at that. The survivors make a plan to stay alive until the rescue ship arrives, but the doctor tells them the truth. There's no rescue ship. They aren't profitable enough to be saved. In the end, the doctor beats the station's company system the only way he can, by using a classic Kirk-style move, turning the corporation's own logic against it. If everything is about minimizing cost, then the company itself becomes the biggest cost. How do we feel about that?
Well, he let Bill die. It was, well, not quite. He knew, but he
We'll
didn't.
know why at the end, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Suits keeps saying like, "We'll take over for you now," or something like that. Or what do they say when the program like kills the organic?
Your life is in our hands.
Yeah, your life is in our hands. So that made me think, I'm like, oh, maybe there's like something else going on here, and the suits are protecting the humans from something else. You know, learn about at the end. Maybe there's something else. Yeah. No, and isn't that like, I think that the episode ends up making a statement about capitalist greed, but there's that optimism that a lot of people have in corporations of like, oh, they're not just out to make a profit. They really do care. And so that was me, like you said, Frank, I was being this optimist to be like, oh, maybe the suits are like actually.
Well, I find it funny that you're mentioning the suits, because when you think of it outside of this episode, you think of suits as the corporate lawyers. When the doctor says, we're fighting the suits, I like that
double
entendre. Yeah, it's great because they're physically fighting suits that are automated and they're also fighting corporate like decisions. So it's great. It's like, yes, capitalism isn't there, but then also this bureaucracy with legal mumbo jumbo and red tape.
Coming from the BBC, the whole line is, we're fighting an algorithm, we're fighting the suits. Yeah. And so today, I mean, I think that, like where the BBC is at today, and they're like fighting to survive at this point. And we've seen what happened to even this property. Doctor Who is gone. Like the rights to it are who knows where. So this kind of, I said this definitely feels like not propaganda, but this definitely has a point of view message that the writers are trying to get out there, and I think it's only more valid today than it was in 2017.
It's weird, huh?
Kelsey, I just wanted to mention that when you were talking, it reminded me of Silence in the Library, where they were saved, and no one understood that. So you didn't have that before. So totally,
yes.
And that would have been nice. I would have.
Don't know what's been saved.
I'm glad you brought that up, because this has, like, besides that, it also has that whole suit being a character, like being a monster that we don't know necessarily what's behind the mask. We do on these, like they popped off the helmet real quick to show, no, we're going to show you all the bad people, right. Bad suits. But it definitely had, that same like feeling of the suit is a person that's moving around on its own. I mean, you're going to get that with television productions that are trying to be kind of scary, and in space, like, it's an obvious thing. Like, your suit is already your character, and it's easy to keep it moving. But that was a similarity. Is there another episode that does like a suit in control? I was trying to think if there was, but it's a fun trope that they did well with this one. Turning it a little bit more into the zombie.
Yeah.
Well, the Wedding of River Song, that suit took over from
Oh yeah.
her husband at one point.
That's why we should never trust robots.
Well, that I think of, I don't know. I don't think because I think I'm more like spacesuits because but yeah, you're right. That's a suit, but it's like a mech suit.
Well, and even River
A
Song,
precursor to this.
the beginning of her, like what was that, the Day of the Moon?
Yeah, the
When she was
astronaut
in the
suit.
astronaut suit, was also kind of controlling.
True.
So somebody at the BBC really has a fear of spacesuits.
Oh, we all do, or we should. I mean, science fiction has been warning us for years, and
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
sorry, going back to Bill kind of confronting the doctor after she finds out he's alive and blind, and he keeps talking, and then I wrote this down, and I think this is where this goes. Bill says, "Do people ever hit you?" And he says, "Yeah, well, only when I'm talking."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they had
again,
good
there's
lines. They
yeah,
did have
there's
really good
nice
lines.
levity in this kind of like serious situation, life and death.
Another line I like for just talking about line when after the doctor's blind, he stumbles over that helmet. Like Bill's talked to him, and then he like goes to leave and stumbles over the helmet, and Nardole says he doesn't like it when you help. And like,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, like that's how the doctor would be. Yeah,
That's totally how the doctor would
yeah,
be. I love that.
that's how I would probably be. Sorry, Kelsey.
Well, the doctor's also sorry, I'm just remembering kind of in backwards chronology is that the doctor is that was saying before he told Bill or Bill said, "Does anybody hit you?" Anyway, the doctor was saying like how he has lizard eyes on the TARDIS, he can like replace them and things like that. Just doing things to comfort Bill, and I like that. Like, we don't know how true that is. He could just be making that up.
And also having the machine that's supposed to just fix it. It's like, no, you've never had anything to just fix anything before.
The company's computer sees the loss to corporate profits and recalculates the programming on the suits. The zombie like puppets give their oxygen supplies to the surviving crew. The doctor revives Bill. He knew that her glitchy spacesuit didn't have enough power to kill her. The TARDIS is recovered, and the surviving crew is dropped off at the head office to confront the company. Nardole restores the doctor's eyes, but back on Earth at the university, after Bill leaves the doctor's office, he confesses to Nardole that he is still blind.
I don't know how I
Ooh.
felt. I remember not liking that when it first aired, that he was still blind after we went through all of that. And I'm like, then what did Nardole do? But they don't explain like what happened.
He doesn't have
So
to wear those contact lenses that make his eyes look. Don't have to do that anymore.
yeah, but Nardole believed that he did restore sight to the doctor. That's the part that I'm like, can you explain how the doctor fooled Nardole? But whatever.
Well, that the whole scene that takes place after the healing, but before they're back at the school, like the doctor is making eye contact and looking at people.
Yeah.
You know, the I explain it in my head. The doctor can fake it because he's the doctor. Especially, I think he was on the TARDIS by that point, so maybe there's some extra special ability in there. But yeah, I'm reading ahead on your copy here at Eugene. Maybe you could take over.
Oh no, that's fine.
I was reading this paragraph.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it was the commentary where I found this out that Stephen Moffat read this script. He gave it to Jamie Matheson saying, I want you to make space scary again. And then by the end, or not by the end, in the middle, the doctor gets blind. And Moffat loved that. So he goes, I'm going to run with that for a couple more episodes. So I don't think originally Matheson wanted or was going to have the doctor be blind at the end of the episode. So I think that's why that, now knowing that, I think that's what I'm sort of feeling. It feels tacked on rather than organic. But then again, going back to the switch between Nardole's role, he's becoming more of this. Not the closest word I can come to think of is a parent because he's mad at the doctor at the end, which feels very parental instead of like a equal or colleague. So again, I think that shift works for me because of the circumstances.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought that showed off Nardole well.
Hmm.
So,
It was good to finally get more of him interacting with Bill and the doctor throughout the episode, right? Like, because he hasn't gone on an adventure with them in this season.
Not like this.
Yeah.
He's usually the bookends of the episodes.
But the whole idea of blowing up the whole eh, spaceship mining, whatever, was really interesting. I liked how you did explain it all, going, no, this is your biggest loss. You're going to be hurt for this for years. This is going to go bad on your, it's going to look bad for your company. Your stocks are going down. It's like really hit them where it hurts.
Oh no, I was just saying on that point, I liked the turn of the two surviving workers where, of course, first they're rightly upset about the doctor's plan, but then they have to learn that, like, there's no rescue ship coming. It's actually a ship of replacements. They've been, kind of left to die by the company. And so at the end, they're right before the doors open, they're like, I like seeing that turn in the characters of being like, open the doors, like, yes, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna make my death mean something, and to this company that thinks my life is meaningless.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny. Oh, sorry, you had
No,
something.
go ahead.
Well, thinking about that, we've had a similar thing with the Almost People, those two-parters, and I felt very let down in the way that ended. But in here, in Oxygen, it feels better.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's
Yeah.
because I was disappointed with the Almost People's ending, or if it's where
Parts.
I was just remembering, like, what I didn't like is that they went a little too far in the ending, where they should have left them where they did in Oxygen, where it's going to the confrontation, where in the Almost People, like Ganger into whatever,
Mm-hmm.
they went to the press conference to kind of confront the company, the corporation, and you're like, no, I want to see what happens. Where in
Right.
this
Mm-hmm.
one, it's left to our imagination what happens because they're dropped off. They're not, the doors open and we see the cameras flash and everybody's like, question, question, question. So it was just like, did they learn? Because I hope that's what happened,
Well, they had the one line about, well, yeah, I remember 3 months later something happened with the corporation. Not a big
but not
reveal.
not enough.
Well, I think it was revolution, right? And like the end of capitalism was 6 months
Mm-hmm.
later.
6 months of
Looks
like big protest or
Mhm.
work strike or something, and then yeah, the doctor says like humans abandoned capitalism and then something else
Found
to found a new mistake or something like that. But
That's us.
Mm-hmm.
but then that also made me think of Star Trek, humans abandoning capitalism.
Yeah,
And
well, 2026 is when World War III happens, right, Frank?
The Bell riots start.
Last year, right?
Oh.
uh,
Anyway, um, I laughed when they gave him their oxygen,
Mm-hmm.
and I turned to Brian, going, "So that's what's on the back of the stormtrooper's outfit. That's their oxygen supply." Because I remember that being, what do they keep in there? Are those tools? What? It's like, oh, that's what it is.
I think for the stormtroopers, it may be a thermal detonator. I don't know.
So it's kind of like how do we adapt the doctor's strategy of connecting our life signs to a bomb that's going to blow up the space station to our current situation. That one scene, yeah, where they are like the zombies are giving the oxygen to the people. Again, kind of just a little like trying to get an emotional reaction by having the woman of the man like come to him and give him her oxygen when they're all like in the story it's not the woman, she's just a dead body.
Right.
So it's very morbid to think about what
Yes.
they're trying to do there.
Yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
very sad.
But I think, the British do have a different, like, little different sense of humor than we do sometimes.
Also, she had control of her eyes, didn't she?
She was looking at him, yes.
Yeah. It was like, no, she was dead.
Oh.
And because the other guy who's dead, his eyes are set, so it's just sort of, I didn't realize that until now, the difference that you're talking about. Okay. They're trying to make it something that it really wasn't.
I mean, there is proximity to kind of keeping in mind. Like Tasker and her were the more recent ones to have died. So Who knows? They could have saved him.
Now who's the optimist?
At least they didn't do the weird echo like communications thing where like, oh, they're glitching out. What they call it? Was it glitching out?
It was a ghost. They were ghosting.
Ghosting. Yeah.
Yeah, thankfully they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, there is a DVD commentary on this episode on the Blu-ray DVD by Jamie Matheson, the guy who wrote this episode, Matt Lucas, and Pearl Mackie.
Did she like being a zombie? She did it well.
I think they commented on how good it was, but I don't know if she liked it. I don't remember.
She gets to do a lot
Oh,
of like makeup and things.
Yeah, she said she had fun in this episode because in that one scene where the TARDIS gets blown out of the airlock, she got to hang on wires and she got to play around. So she liked that. And then the thing with her hair is sort of afro-like, she mentions in the commentary. So they had to cut it, meaning the scene that was filmed, where her hair is big and then she puts on the helmet because it doesn't physically fit, and then they have to like
Oh,
do some cosmetics to bring her hair down and then put the helmet back on. So every time she takes it off or on, it's two different takes because of hair and makeup.
Helmet hair, huh?
Yeah. Or in this case, non-helmet hair.
Uh-huh.
And an interesting part that I found very nice is that that first scene where they see the standing zombie, they had to film that again because the first take was too creepy. And
Really?
they said that it was their first pass or whatever, and then they got the notes to reshoot it, so they had to do it. That was the last thing they shot because everything else was already done. And the reason they said it was scary is that the dead zombie astronaut, he was like in almost every frame. So it's like he was either in the foreground or the extreme background. It was always just there, and the audiences or whoever was watching did not like that.
Was that first one like an actor with a prosthetic face? Because yeah, it was very like it felt like a mannequin, like how dead and the bulging eyes.
Yeah.
Um,
He was not a credited person because he had no speaking lines. He was an extra. His name is Tim Reed. So that was cool.
but good job, Tim.
Yeah.
But the part wasn't his real eyes.
No.
That was the scariest part.
Yeah.
Definitely got Total Recall
Mm.
vibes, like
On
the
Mars?
yeah, when your oxygen's gone. Yeah, they were a little it's a little different takes on it, but similar kind of source ideas.
All right, going through the cast real quick. We have Kieran Boo, who played Ivan. He's the younger survivor. He played Captain Charles Cunningham in Outlander. Hugh in House of the Dragon Season 2. He's the bastard son who's a blacksmith that becomes a dragon rider, if you remember that in Season 2.
oh, I do.
Yeah, he had a big beard. Justin Salinger is Tasker. He's the older one, the one that doesn't make it to the end of the episode. Peter Caulfield is Dahren. He's the blue alien. He's acting friends with Pearl and has mutual friends with Matt Lucas. They nicknamed him on set because he's the blue alien as Blue Peter because of his first name. Because if they called him PC, that's the same thing as Peter Capaldi. So then, like, they just called him Blue Peter. Which is funny because Blue Peter is a kid show that has a lot of ties to Doctor Who. And another tie is that Pearl Mackie had her first TV appearance at age 10 on Blue Peter.
Cool.
Mimi, I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, so forgive me. Kaisha, she plays Abby. She's one of the other survivors. She is Fringilla in The Witcher and a resistance officer in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker.
She looks
That's where-
familiar.
The Witcher
That's
is where I
cool.
recognize
Yeah.
her from. Yeah.
Not yeah, I recognize her more from The Witcher. Katie Braben plays Ellie.
Was that the first woman? The pregnant?
Yes.
The one that wants to be pregnant?
Yes. And then nice Easter egg, I guess, is that in the class scene when that student, the blonde student, asks the doctor what this has to do anything with crop. What is it? Crop
Rotation.
growth? Rotation. That is the assistant director, Lauren Pate. So
Oh,
they
cool.
got somebody from the
Her.
production to be in on screen. So that was nice.
British Screen Actors Guild, that helped that one out.
And then Clem So, who we've had before on the show, plays as an uncredited white-haired zombie. And I tried to find him, couldn't find him, but he's been in a lot. He was in the Wedding of River Song. He was the Sterling, the galactic villain, the ninja that's protecting Hydra Flax. And he's done a lot in movies. I mentioned these before, but I'll just go through them real quick. Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning 1, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, No Time to Die, Black Widow, Skyfall, Broadchurch, Wizards vs. Aliens, Deadpool and Wolverine. And he's been in Doctor Who since season 7 with Asylum of the Daleks as a Mongolian warlord, and then a Clockwork Droid in Deep Breath. And this is I think, the last episode that he appears in.
So he's often in makeup or in
Yes,
like
yeah,
okay,
and in the background.
like Doug Jones. Is that the right name?
Yeah, but yeah, Saru.
Yeah. I mean, he's played a lot of
Yeah, but
weird
the
things.
most recent. Oxygen. Who is this episode good for? Or more specifically, this episode is good for who? A new viewer, a casual viewer, a fan of the show, or a diehard?
Yeah. Rewatching these again, it's odd because of what I know coming up. I've seen all the way through the 13th, we've seen the rest. So just seeing it again, it's just odd. So I'm trying to remember, definitely not the first viewing, not somebody who doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't think it's needed to be by a diehard. I don't think to get anything more out of it. Casual might be better than a fan in that they know enough about the Doctor's relationship with people and how he is going to still look after the companion, even though this shows a darker side to that. Where a fan, I think, like, Kelsey and I, we're like, no, there's something off about how he's doing this because we know too much about how he's dealt with other people. So I think casual, that's where I'm going to put it.
Yeah, I agree with Frank. I think this is a good for a casual viewer. It goes fast. Like, I remember looking at the run near the end and seeing that there's only like 5 minutes left. And I was like, it didn't feel like I had been watching for 30 some minutes. So I think if you just stumbled upon this episode, you would probably enjoy it the most. Then like it's not one that's a fan that I don't think is going to revisit, and they might even skip it if they're binge watching. I don't know. So I'm gonna say casual. We'll enjoy it the most.
Cool.
An addendum to that is, like, if you are a fan, I say go ahead and rewatch it. You get something different out of it. It's well written, and I had forgotten that because of other aspects of it.
I mean, there is a lot that I think a new viewer could get out of it, especially because we take away the TARDIS and the Sonic pretty quickly, and outside of that, it's a nice, fun, like, space horror sort of with a little bit of anti-capitalism rhetoric thrown in. So I think if you had like a friend that was a super left-leaning, down with the system kind of person, this might be a great way to introduce them to Doctor Who. Yeah, I don't know if I want to, like, I probably wouldn't show this to like anybody else besides that person as a first introduction to the Doctor's world. So yeah, I'll say casual with Frank and Kelsey.
Cool. I will be the one to say it's good for a new viewer because of those things. Like, you don't have the TARDIS, you don't have the sonic screwdriver, you don't have that baggage. Like, Nardole and Bill are asking questions that a new viewer would kind of want to hear the answers to. And I like a pared down Doctor for a new viewer. And the horror aspects, I think I know horror fans that would kind of like this. And I think if they'd never watched Doctor Who before, this is one that I would. And I never thought I would until watching it this week. And I was like, yeah, this kind of ticks some of the boxes for me for introducing this to somebody new. So yeah, those are my reasons. They're not necessarily all of your reasons, but those are my reasons why it can be a new Who viewer.
I don't think, if somebody asked me, where should I start Doctor Who? This is not going to be high up on any list of mine.
Completely understandable.
Yeah. But like all the reasons you said, I think it's great for casual, like people should go back and rewatch it no matter where you are in your Doctor Who fandom.
It's also weird because I didn't really think I would like this episode revisiting, but then kind of analyzing it for the podcast, the way that everything connects logically with the space station and the logic that they created for this world that is in this episode, I really appreciated this time where I didn't before. And I just remember him being blind at the end. I'm like, that's weird and stupid. So yeah, hindsight is 2020 on this one.
I
tried. Is this thing on, or are we in space?
I'm in space.
It's been written at the top of his document the whole time.
What? Nuh-uh.
All right, so that wraps up Oxygen. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time when the future becomes the present.
You just listened to an episode of Who Knew?
Our wonderful theme music is by Michael Grady.
Find him on Facebook at The Universe Explodes.
Additional music is by Damiel Paggio.
Additional music by Paul Ohlers.
All our episodes are engineered by Auburn, and you can find him at auburnbinkley.com.
You can also find this show in several places.
Follow us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcast.
Subscribe, review, and listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WhoKnewPodcast.
All our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com.
Visit our Facebook page.
Please leave comments, reviews, and click like to support Who Knew Podcast.
To listen to our show on your Amazon Echo device, subscribe to us on Amazon Music.
And then ask your Amazon device to play your podcast subscriptions.
This podcast is inspired by Doctor Who,
the longest-running sci-fi show in history.
And especially the revival spearheaded by Russell T. Davis.
Thanks to Russell, Sidney Newman,
Verity Lambert, Ron Grainer,
and all those involved in the adventures of our favorite Time Lord.
Your work continues to inspire and entertain.
Hello, this is Sylvester McCoy. You've just listened to an episode of Who Knew? Clever name.